everyone. For those out there that don't know me, my name is David Kennedy, and my wife Judith and I, along with our daughter Neve, have been attending Tobermore Baptist since just before the new year, and recently became members in the church. And it really feels like we were going to the church no time at all, and then we weren't, obviously because of lockdown. So for us, we're really looking forward to being back in amongst everybody again and getting to know everybody a bit better. But for now, I think we just have to settle for social media and Facebook. And the reason I'm on here today is to share my testimony with everyone. And to do that, we have to go up the road to Ballymoney. That's where I'm from. And it's where I was born on the 6th of February 1990. And I was brought up alongside an older sister and a twin brother. And a very big part of my childhood was church. From I was no age at all, I can remember my parents taking me along to church every Sunday. And my folks didn't just believe that going to church was a good thing to be done. They believed and trusted in Jesus and wanted the same for us. And as I grew up and went to different things in the church, like the kids club on a Friday evening and Sunday school on a Sunday morning, I would hear the same things being spoken about consistently, that God created the world, that man sinned, how God sent his son, about Jesus' death on the cross, and about how he rose again, and about my need to be saved from my sins. And my problem at that young age was I thought because my parents were Christians, that made me all right as well. And all the way through my childhood, I was under the illusion that I was a Christian because my parents were Christians. I didn't understand that you can't be right before God by being a passenger on the back of someone else's faith. And it was when I went to secondary school I really distanced myself from God and from church. I desperately wanted to fit in that place and to be accepted. So I started to talk and act like the friends I had made. And the problem with doing that was I couldn't be that person when I went home, and I couldn't be that person when I went to church on a Sunday. So I had to let people assume that I was a Christian and really tried to live like one at the weekend, saying and doing all the right things. And then during the week, I was just one of the lads, part of the crowd. You can't live a double life forever though, and it got to the stage that I was just tired of putting on that front. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I went and told our pastor at the time I didn't want to be part of church anymore, and told my family the same. I wanted to live my life my way and live for the moment. But while I was under my folks' roof, I was still made to go to church, so I continued to hear God's word every week and heard the gospel every week as well. At that age, I was only thinking about my plans. I wasn't thinking about anything else. But what I didn't realise was that God had other plans that were very different to my own. And on Sunday, the 1st of May 2005, I went along to a service that would change my life entirely. There was a visiting speaker had come to Ballymoney Baptist Church, a fella called Bill James. And in his sermon that day, he had 3 points speaking about Jesus. In his first 2 points, he spoke about Jesus' willingness to die on the cross, and then how he conquered death and sin through the resurrection. But then the third point was about how Jesus was coming again, and how he would return for his people, and only those who trusted in him, only for those who had confessed their sins and were forgiven. And in my mind, something clicked, and I realised I was not all right. If Jesus returns this evening, tomorrow, the next day, I am not all right. And I had believed for so long that I was fine because my parents were Christians, or because I went to church at the weekend, or because it wasn't part of my plan and I didn't need to worry about it at that time. But in that moment, I knew I had it all wrong. And it was that night I put my trust in Jesus and was saved from my sins. And when Jesus returns for his people, I will be taken with him, because from that day on, I was one of those people. I was forgiven and had been given new life. Becoming a Christian and having that peace and that assurance of knowing that my sins have been removed from me, and and that I'm made right before God is the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me. But becoming a Christian brought about its own challenges, the first of which I discovered when I went back to school after the weekend and I told all my mates what had happened to me, and they thought it was a joke. And from then on, school became a much more difficult place for me to be. People are hostile to Jesus and those who follow and love him. They were hostile when I was in school, and they're still hostile now. And it was through that hostility I really found a love for Psalm 121, and I leaned on that particular psalm a lot. And I'll just read it now. It says, "I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." It's a great psalm to read, and a great reminder, because we often forget that the God who made the heavens and the universe is the same God that cares for my life and all of our lives. And it's a great picture of what God does for us, how he shields us and watches over us and protects us, and how wonderful it is to know that the God of all creation cares for me and for you so personally, and he does all that for us. And it's continuous because he doesn't slumber or sleep. I think Psalm 121 is a really timely psalm for where we are right now in the midst of this pandemic, or coming out the other side of a pandemic. But it's a psalm to carry every day, regardless of what's going on in the news. So I hope what I've shared has been beneficial to you this morning. And if you forget all else, remember our help comes from the Lord.